What's good YouTube? In this video I'll be showing you how to create this grunge zoom transition inside After Effects. We're going to be creating a seamless transition from the first clip into the second clip, where the second clip has this grunge texture to it, and we're also going to be utilizing the 3D camera. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. So here in After Effects I have these two clips playing from a 21 Savage music video, and what we're going to do in order to get started is we're actually going to be working backwards for this transition, and we're going to be starting from the second clip, and then we'll be coming back into the first clip in order to tie this entire transition together. So here in the second clip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click my layer, and then I'm going to click the roto brush tool, and I'm going to rotoscope my subject. In order to make your brush look bigger, you want to hold the control button and left click, and then you want to drag your mouse, and if there's any unwanted areas that you didn't want to rotoscope, you want to hold the alt button and then left click and just drag over it, and it gets rid of the unwanted parts. I'm going to now rotoscope my subject. As you're rotoscoping, it's important for you to go frame by frame just to check and make sure that everything is accurately rotoscoped the way you want it to. And once you're done checking if everything is rotoscoped the way you want it to, click the freeze button, and what that does is lock in our rotoscope. After clicking the freeze button, we're going to then go back into our composition. And in our composition we have our rotoscope layer. I'm going to now decrease the shift edge and make it at -60. I'm going to increase the feather to 8 just to make the edges of our subject a lot smoother. And then we're going to grab our layer and we're going to pre-compose our layer. So make sure to click move all attributes into the new composition, and then we're going to double click that pre-composed layer, and then we're going to duplicate our layer twice. So make sure to click the layer and click Ctrl D, 1, 2. We're going to bring these two down. I'm just going to name these layers in order to make it easier for me. So the one in the middle, I'm going to name it mid, and then the one that animates from the middle to the left, I'm going to name that left, and then the last one I'm going to animate from the middle to the right, so I'll name that right. In order to create that duplicate clone effect, what we're going to do is keyframe the bottom two layers position, keyframe the position in the beginning, and then I'm going to go forward 10 frames. And in order to go forward 10 frames, you can hold the shift button and then click the page down button. That goes forward 10 frames. And in order to make this easier, I'm just going to decrease the X value by 500 in order for it to animate towards the left. And then I'm going to increase the X value of the bottom layer 500. 960 plus 500 is 1460, just so that there's an equal amount of distance between the three layers. This is what we have so far. And what we're going to do, grab the keyframes and then easy ease. Make sure to have your motion blur on for both layers. And now if we play this, it feels smoother. Because our background is transparent, what we're going to do is add a solid, make that solid a white color, drag that to the bottom, and then we're going to go back into our composition, and then I'm going to add an effect called threshold in order to create that grunge texture. I'm going to decrease the level to 85, and now in order to create the transition from the first clip to the second clip, what we're going to do is grab the first layer and make that 3D layer, and then we're going to create a 3D camera. These are my settings. And then I'm going to just cut the 3D camera layer to the same length as my first layer. And in order to create a transition, I'm going to create a null object and connect the 3D camera into the null object. Make sure the null object is a 3D layer by clicking this box right here. And then I'm just going to change the color of this. What we're going to do is grab the pick whip tool and drag it to the null object. We're going to be animating the position as well as the Z rotation. Make sure to click the layer, click U to reveal the keyframes. We're going to keyframe the Z rotation at -7 in the beginning. And then we're going to go one frame before the ending of the clip, and we're going to keyframe that at 0. I'm going to have the camera a lot more zoomed in the beginning, so I'm going to keyframe the Z space at 1000 and then go towards the end, keyframe it back to 0. Make sure to grab those keyframes and easy ease them and have the motion blur on for that first layer. If we play this, it has a slow zoom out rotation transition. And now in order to create that seamless transition from the first clip into the second clip, what we're going to do is add another null object. Make sure that's a 3D layer, and we're going to grab this pick whip tool and drag it onto that new null object that we just created, and we're going to open up the position. We're going to be creating a zoom out transition from the first clip to the second clip. I'm going to keyframe the Z space of the position at -3000 in order to really emphasize that zoom out transition. I'm going to go back 8 frames, keyframe the Z space back to 0, grab those keyframes and easy ease them. And in order to get rid of the black borders, we're going to add an effect called motion tile, and I'm going to make output width and the height at 400 and mirror edges. And then what we're going to do is grab these layers and move it towards the end where the cut happens. Grab the keyframes of the second null object and go into the graph editor. And I'm going to have the zoom transition start out slowly and then go out fast. So it animates slow and then fast as it transitions into the next clip. And because it's zooming out, what we're going to do is keyframe the scale of the second scene. I'm going to keyframe the scale at 250%. And then go forward 8 frames and keyframe the scale back to 100%. Grab those keyframes, easy ease them, go into the graph editor, and then I'm going to have it animate. It's going to animate fast and then slow. Make sure to turn on the motion blur. And in order to create more of a seamless transition, what I'm going to do is grab the keyframe of the scale of the second scene, and I'm just going to move that back 1 frame. And I'm going to grab the keyframes of the first null object and then move that forward 1 frame. And what that does is it creates this constant movement from the first clip into the second clip. And then I'm going to move this layer 1 frame back. And that's all there is for this transition. As you guys can see, there's that smooth cut as the transition happens from the first scene into the second scene because we adjusted the keyframes, as well as moving the second scene 1 frame back. But that's all there is for this transition. If you guys found this video helpful, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.